Hello, welcome to Kaiba Health and Life. I'm your host, Kristen Wolosinovich, here with my beautiful other host, the hostess with the mostest, Lisa Metropolis. How are you?
I'm great. I do have the mostest today. We do because we have one of my most favorite people in the studio today.
I'm so excited.
I know.
You've been bragging about her.
I have been for a long time.
Wanting her in for some time, but she's so busy. So
I know.
Finally, Becca Townsend, hello. Welcome to the Kaiba Health and Life Studios.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Founder, CEO of the Flint Cacao. I love saying that. Cacao trader. And also activist.
Yes.
Wears many hats. And you're also here today to talk to us about living the vegan lifestyle. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, Becca.
Hi.
Becca, can I start?
I'm excited for you to start.
I want to start because one of the things that right off the bat that I wanted to ask you. You have such an incredible connection to food. All foods that you prepare, foods that you, even when you're researching sources, you have a process to mentally prepare for that. And that is off the bat, right off the top. That's the first thing you do. Can you share a little bit about that in your process and what you go through, how you go through that mentally?
Yeah. I guess I'll just start out by saying that, being a preparer of food is like the most ancient career.
Right. Okay.
And also like one of the most important. So, understanding that what we put into our bodies, really affects us on a day-to-day basis. So, when I look for a certain type of source for food, I really like to know who is the one growing or who I'm getting the food from in particular. So like if I go to the grocery store, chances are I have no idea where that food came from. So I have no idea how many hands that it's passed through. I have no idea the type of people or what their thoughts are on that food. So to me, it's really important to know who I'm getting the food from, what they're using to grow said food. And that's for multiple reasons. I think that, it's like when we have a sense of connection to what we're putting in our bodies, then we are in a constant state of awareness of excuse me.
I think we're taking like massive ownership and accountability with our life.
Yeah.
It just gives you power, empowerment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in like in countries that aren't as developed as ours, like they go out in their backyard and they get their food and they have a sense of gratitude for it because they can't just go to some random store and get whatever they want, or they can't go to the drive-through and just order a burger. Right. So they're
lucky them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're happier because of that.
Right.
And I feel like it keeps them close with not just the food, but the whole process that goes into it. So when we say our prayer at dinner with my family, it's not like we don't say the same prayer every night, but we say our thank yous. And what that consists of might be like, expressing gratitude to all of the soil that the food is grown in and all of the little critters that, go through the processing of that soil or the mycelium and the fungus, the sun, the moon, the stars, the rain, like all of those things that are a part of growing that food. It's not, and that keeps you not just, connected to the food itself, but all of the aspects that go into it.
Lisa, I'm listening to Becca speak, and I think it's what's really kind of sad and unfortunate is in our day in society, many modern day families have lost that connection.
Absolutely.
To hear that story, you are in the minority to be having these conversations. And to hear it, I think it's so important to use this platform to spread this awareness so families can start to get to the bedrock, if you will, to the foundation, to the fundamentals with their children and understand, and most importantly, have the gratitude of where our food sources come from.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's pretty important.
Becca, you were able to, in developing and being a founder and CEO of this cacao venture, you were able to travel recently, not that long ago, and have an incredible experience on a cacao farm in Guatemala. Cacao. Tell
Love it.
us what that experience was for you, that journey, that entire phase of your whole life, because it really did change your direction.
Yeah, it was life-changing for so many ways, not just because, I got to go meet the farmers who I source my cacao from. Guatemala was kind of crazy. Like you have like children carrying guns that are the size of them. So just that alone was pretty wild.
Right,
But
right.
When was this? If you
this
don't
was in
mind me asking?
February.
This February. Wow.
Yep, and we flew into Guatemala City, which everyone was like, "Don't do that," but we wanted to get the full experience of it. So getting to the farm was like traveling up a specific mountain to get there, which we used public transportation to do so.
Wow.
Which was wild.
And the roads
it-
it's not developed. It's not an infrastructure
No.
like we think of here.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Was it a safety factor, what they were trying to warn you to not do?
Definitely. And I mean, I will say that I think a lot of that is fear mongering because we were okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was alarming for safety wise for a few reasons. And of course, like the violence is one of them. But I mean, these bus drivers would be like flying through the mountain and in the winding roads, like texting on their phones. And we'd have, the bus is packed with like 30 extra people than they really had seats for. And you'd be like, there's no way anybody else can fit into this bus. And they'd stop on the side of the road and pick up 10 more people. So it was intense. Like, and the thought of, people make that trip every single day.
That's just that's a Tuesday.
That's a day.
It's just normal for them, and they're happy and they're smiling and they're good. And that was, I think, the most shocking thing for me. Like, I had to really dig into myself and get into like a mental state of like, I can get through this.
That's right.
And then to think that they're just doing it as
Every
a
single
daily.
day.
Yeah.
You had to go deep in your feels, didn't you?
It was rough, yeah. But getting to the cacao farm was, it was tough. But once there, it was just like so life changing. I mean, I got to. So the farm, I guess I'll just touch base on that. They use a system called agroforestry. Okay. So they don't have like rows and rows of cacao. They actually just grow it naturally and the way that it would grow in a regular way. So they're growing it with banana trees, cardamom, all different, like allspice trees, cinnamon, eucalyptus.
Wow.
I mean, all the orchid trees, like it's like walking through the farm is like an experience in itself for being a food person, like so many spices and ingredients that I use on a daily basis that I had no connection to before that moment. It was just amazing and life-changing. Like you could just pick fresh cardamom pods walking through the cacao forest and just chew on them as you walked.
You're speaking my love language. And I think, too, Becca, one thing why it's so important, and thank you so much again, Lisa, for bringing her, is the use of food as medicine. Mm-hmm. I mean, here in the United States, we rely heavily on big pharma or a pill to fix what we deem ails us. And what you are speaking to is food as medicine. This is living true to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How important was it to be able, and really was the experience to bring it here? Is it to bring it back home to your community?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, especially, living in Flint and which is considered a food desert, it was incredibly important to me. I mean, I had never even known what an allspice berry looked like in its raw form, or what a cinnamon tree looked like, So just and not to mention like that it's a underdeveloped country.
Right.
And
but yet so much more advanced and progressive than we could ever imagine.
I mean, they're genuinely more happy because they can go outside and have that sense of gratitude for what they're getting. And I mean, like it's, we would be cutting sugar off of a block of like raw sugar cane.
Wow.
I had never even known what that looked like when I saw them preparing it. I was like, what is that, you know? So it was definitely important to me to like bring that sense of joy and gratitude that the locals there feel on a daily basis back home with me. You know, it's like something that we take for granted that we can just go to the grocery store and get whatever we want from there.
You know, Lisa, we had Tamra Clady on the show.
We did,
And she's one of your colleagues, Becca, and you had talked about how important the preparation of food was and how important the sourcing is. And now I'm getting, you know, she gave us kind of an overview, but now coming from February, I mean, just a short amount of time, it's so vivid still in your memory. I feel like I'm there with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Your
It's
journey
exciting.
is still with you.
Do you see yourself now it being an annual trip, or are you
Absolutely.
seeing it more often?
Yeah, I mean, I plan to go back in February again, and I want to bring my children with me this time because I think that they need to experience that. But I was told pretty firmly by my farmer's wife that I had to come back and I had to bring the kids. So
Nice.
How far? Okay, just for preparation for this trip, is there a lot of like? Do you need shots? Do you have to get prepared, or
No.
And how long is the flight?
the flight, if I remember correctly, it was like 6 hours altogether. So we
Not
had
bad.
Not bad at all. And you know, it was more so trying to fit into one backpack my whole life. I
Right.
think that was the difficulty of it.
Right, one backpack. I'm like 17 backpacks for a weekend.
Same.
Yes, so I feel you. So let's talk a little bit about the cacao.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Because right before this, Kristen had an ailment and she asked.
Thanks for telling the world, America.
You had you know, just a normal everyday ailment.
Right.
And your immediate response was
Cacao.
And tell us about the medicinal purposes of this and
Yeah.
how it heals.
I mean, I guess I'll touch base on a few bullet points because I
that's
literally
great.
feel like if I said everything, we would be here for a solid hour.
Well, you'll have to come back.
I guess I'll talk about a few of my favorite ones. So cacao has many active components.
Okay.
One of the main ones is theobroma or theobromine, which is a similar molecular structure to caffeine.
Okay.
But it is a more sustained high and not as an addictive of a high. So it is a stimulant. But it has like a plethora of health benefits just within the theobromine. It can reduce risk of heart disease. It can help with weight loss. It acts as a heart stimulant. It can help with diabetes, blood pressure.
Wow.
I mean, I literally could go on and on just about that one molecule. But it has so many other active components. So there's also one called anentamide, which is my favorite one.
Okay.
It's known as the bliss molecule because it quite literally makes you have joyful and euphoric feelings.
So does it like trigger the dopamine, the endorphins, the serotonin within your brain? Is that what it does?
Absolutely. So,
Do you have any on you?
I don't. I will bring you some soon, though.
Thank you.
It is an MAO inhibitor as well. Major chocolate companies, all the major chocolate companies will actually, because cacao is like the raw form of chocolate.
So it's all natural.
Yeah, it's like any chocolate you buy on the grocery store shelf, it's a monocropped version of this. So this is
Okay.
like a polycrop. So you can get it's like heirloom varieties
Okay.
of chocolate, which is really good for the environment as well.
You know, it's interesting because we look at sugar as a carcinogen, but if you look at it, they recommend a dark chocolate. And
This is why.
this is why,
Yeah.
because of the cacao. Yes. And this is no wonder my grandma, she just turned 87. She wanted a box of wine and chocolate. She's no dummy.
It makes sense. I mean, women crave it on their periods for a
Yes.
reason. It's the highest
Yes.
natural food source of iron, the
Okay.
highest in the entire world.
Okay.
One of the highest of magnesium, one of the highest of calcium. I mean, it's packed with flavonols, more antioxidants than blueberries. It's a superfood.
So you would recommend it in the dark chocolate form, but from like a natural health food, like can I buy it from my local grocer, or do you recommend purchasing it elsewhere?
I mean, I personally would gear towards buying either nibs or finding it in a paste in the way that I offer it.
Okay.
The reason being, I was actually starting to say this and then got sidetracked.
Sorry about that.
I think it was me actually. But major chocolate companies will strip the fat out of the cacao or the chocolate and sell the fat to pharmaceutical companies because they actually synthesize that fat to make drugs. So I would not recommend getting it in the powdered form. Like you can go to the health food store, you can find it at Meijer, you can find it at Kroger as a powder, but you're not going to get the medicinal benefits like you would if you got it with the fat intact.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yes.
And so you are going to be bringing us some of it. How can people get a hold of you to purchase it?
You can find me on Facebook at Flint Cacao Trader. You can also find me on Instagram, which is Flint_cacao_trader.
Okay, so both social media platforms are people can DM you and reach out
Absolutely.
and purchase the product that way. That's excellent. We highly recommend it. In fact, I personally, and I'm sure I speak for you, will be reaching out to be ordering in bulk, Costco bulk orders. So real quickly, let's talk about living that vegan lifestyle.
Yeah.
Really interested in learning more about this. I personally have been a pescatarian for 24 years, and I am even more leaning more towards the vegan side, eliminating all dairy. That was the only thing that I put in my body. Maybe a little bit of fish, but very rare. Can you tell me some of the benefits of leading a vegan lifestyle? Because I understand your children are vegans as well.
Yeah, my youngest is. My older one, I get a little bit of pullback from him.
Okay.
But I mean, the health benefits of it are, I mean, it's like somebody who's eating vegan for 20 plus years, they're not going to have heart disease.
Okay.
Like that's just a given. With dairy products, dairy actually releases similar hormones into our stomach, like if you were to use heroin or cocaine. So it's highly, highly, highly addictive. And that's why you eat some cheese and you want some more.
Right.
And you want some more and you want some more. It's very addictive.
Very.
Yeah, I did that last night. I had 2 types of cheeses, and I didn't even realize it until my husband's like, "How much cheese do you need?"
It's you want more.
Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Isn't this like Red Robin, the bottomless cheese bowl?
Yeah.
Except it's.
I mean, luckily we have so many options nowadays for for the substitutes. They can be hard to find, but I mean Kroger is awesome right now with that. So
with the vegan efforts.
Yep.
They're doing really well.
yeah.
I have a question in regards to, now this is an everyday grocery shopping question. I was told, and let me ask your expertise here. When you go into a grocery store, I was told you want to stay to get the best health benefits, the best, to put sources to put to cook. To do it along the outer aisle, to stay on the outer aisle. Everything inside is processed
And packaged.
and packaged and processed. And so I was told, when you walk in, if you can get most of the things you need in that outer aisle, to get that. Does that make sense to you? Does that?
Yeah, I mean that seems like always the fresh produce
The fresh
is in that
produce,
area, which I would always go towards anyways. I mean, there's so many veggies that are actually packed with protein. Like you really don't even need meat. Yeah,
Yes.
Broccoli, kale.
Yes,
you don't need to have meat to intake protein.
So true.
Beans. I mean, there's so
Nuts.
many beans, lentils.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, this is only the beginning.
Yes.
Becca Townsend, CEO, founder, Flint Cacao Trader. Check her out once again on Facebook, correct? And then also under Instagram. Can you give your IG again one more time?
Yeah, it's Flint Cacao Trader and underscores between each of those words.
You guys have got to check her
Absolutely.
out. And she will be coming on as a regular, teaching us more, using food as medicine. Love to hear about more of her travels. It's really only the surface. And there's so much. I mean, that holistic way of living, we say this all the time, don't we,
Yes.
Lisa? Our ancestors had it correctly. I mean, we have shifted into a way of life that's just overwhelming us with heart disease and diabetes
Absolutely.
and ailments that now we take pills for. And let's shift. Let's start to shift. So, Becca Townsend, thank you beyond words for being on Kaiba Health and Life. And Lisa Metropolis, as always, thank you for being by my side. You're beautiful. And thank you to our viewers and listeners. This has been Kaiba Health and Life.